Lick number 11 comes from an instrumental called Slow Dragon. It's in the key of E, and this is a really, really cool lick. I've only heard one other person use this before. Junior Watson, who's is my all-time favorite guitar player. The guy lives in California and plays out there. Look for his videos on YouTube. And just a couple weeks ago, I saw a new video of him playing an instrumental, and he uses one of these licks. And in the key of E, in Slow Dragon, in the second verse, I think it is, he does something like this. Right. And what he's doing is he's pinching the first and third strings. And I use a pick, so I've got a pick on the third string and just my fingernail or bare finger getting the first string. And he walks in this E. He's playing over this first position E chord. So he starts out picking the first, third, and first string and hammering on to the first fret of the third string. So that's the first part of it. And then this part, he's just moving the second and third finger. He's got the third finger on the first fret, second fret of the first string, and then my second finger is on the second fret of the third string. And sometimes you can throw your first finger below it on the second string just to give you more control. Like that. I'm just going to move it to the third fret to the fourth fret, same string. That's the first part. And here we're just doing a couple double stops on the second fret, second and third strings. Probably do it with your second finger, and that frees you up to do that. So the whole lick, and I'm just hammering on to the first fret of the third string and picking the second string open. And that is really cool. And then he goes into the 4. So he's playing that lick over the 1. Over the 1 there. And that's from a tune called Slow Dragon. Now there's a variation on that where he does, I think in the same song, he plays a little different pattern, does something like this. Just does a little different rhythmic idea with the same kind of thing. So that is another Jimmy Spruill number 12 idea. Is one we've used before, but it's used in a kind of a different idea along with it. This is from a tune called Scratchin, which is an F. And he's playing way down here, up here on the neck. And an F, remember that lick we learned before? To play in the F, we've got a first finger on the 16th fret, second finger on the 17th fret, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, actually 17 and 18. We're sliding into it from the 16th and 17th. Whoops. So he does this. And he does the slide. That's what I'm looking for. So where he slides that back up the neck. And so what we're doing is he does this 1, 2, 3. And then he picks as he slides this up or down the neck. And that is a really cool idea. You can do that with a lot of different double stops. So this is an F. And that's that scratchy sound. And a lot of Jimmy Spruill's sound, kind of his signature sound, was the scratching. A lot of his instrumentals, scratching and chicken scratching, features him just really muting the strings. And that's the scratching song. I'm not that good at it, and I really don't know how to explain it yet, so I'm going to save that for a later lesson. But in that lick, number 12, he's just using that same lick, but then he does that slide, that wild and crazy slide before he goes into the 4. which is why they called him Wild Jimmy Spruill. He did all kinds of wild and crazy stuff with some basic licks. Lick number 13 comes from a tune, a slow blues tune called Got My Mind on Lovin' You by Little Danny. Never heard of Little Danny until I started listening to Jimmy Spruill. And in this tune, it's a slow blues tune. He's doing a lot of these slow blues typical fills in the first position blues box. And if you listen to Jimmy Spruill's playing, that's one of the things about his playing is a lot of his licks, most of his licks are out of that first position blues box. But he does every now and then go to other places. And in this tune, he plays a fill lick, which is really kind of neat, which he's playing in C, and he plays it over this D position, C, which is really just a C, or a D shape, moved all the way up here, where my first finger is on the 12th fret of the 3rd string. And he does this little fill lick where he does something like this. I can't remember the exact thing, I've got it tabbed out for you, but he's just following that chord, note for note. And he does this little zip bend thing or something like that at the end. So he's just playing over that chord. 12th fret of the 3rd string, 13th fret of the 2nd string, 12th fret of the 1st string, 15th fret of the 1st string. And then zip it off of there. Something like that, which is really kind of a neat idea since most of his fills are being played in that vicinity up there. So that's lick number I'm getting confused here. Number 14, number 13. Number 14. Lick number. I'm going to take another typical Jimmy Spruill thing and show you just how to move it to a different string. Remember we worked on this, how Jimmy Spruill would do that with a vibrato, left hand vibrato. He'd also do that on the 2nd string. And there's a tune, in fact it's called My Mind on Lovin' You, that same song, where in C he's doing a long bend on the 2nd string, where I've got all 4 fingers on the 2nd string from the 8th to the 11th fret. There's your typical blues bend, but he's going to do that vibrato. Something like that. So you can do that same vibrato bend, wild crazy thing on the 2nd string. As well as on the 3rd string. So I'm just showing that to you there. Just should have showed that to you earlier and I forgot. Lick number 15 comes from an instrumental tune called the Chicken Scratch. It's in the key of B. This is a neat little descending single string type run that he does toward the end of the solo. I always like this. He does something similar to it in a tune called Number 9 Train. And he goes like this. So he starts it out. Let me just do that again. There's the lick right there. Right there. So he starts from the 10th fret of the 1st string to the 7th fret. And he bends on the 9th fret of the 2nd string to the 7th fret of the 2nd string. There's a little bend on the 3rd string, winding up on the 7th fret of the 3rd string. So the first part of it, that's the first part. And he's going to do 2 bends with that, from the 9th to the 7th on the 4th string. So the whole leg, slowly. And that's a typical Jimmy Spruill type lick with the bends in there. So one more time. And you can mix that up a lot of different ways. So that is number 15. Lick number 16 comes from another instrumental in the key of E called Cut and Dried. And in this tune, we already heard this lick, which he uses in Wildcat not Wildcat Tamer, but in a Slow Dragon. I get all these instrumental names mixed up. Hard Grind is where I showed that to you, and then also in Number 9 Train. But here he's going to take that same idea, playing in the E position using an open string, and this time using the 2nd and 3rd string. And he's going to something like that, and then look at the way I have it tabbed out. Something like that. So he's sliding now on the 3rd string with my 2nd finger, 2nd to 4th fret, and then getting the open 2nd string into the E 1st position blues box. And you can do all kinds of cool stuff with that. So there's another idea. If you listen to Gatemouth Brown, he'll do that a lot, where he's getting all 3 strings. That kind of lick. And I wonder if Jimmy Spruill got this from listening to Gatemouth Brown. He may have. Something like that. Combine those licks together, playing in E. So that is from an instrumental called Cut and Dried. You can listen to that and see how he uses it. Number 17 comes from a tune called, it's an E flat, If You Just Would Have Said Goodbye. And we did the rhythm part for this earlier. And here's another cool Jimmy Spruill idea, which you hear other guys use, but again, the way his tone was and his attack makes it unique. So he's an E flat, and he does this lick. And that is just another variation on this. And earlier we saw him do this. Or something like that. But now he's going to include the 1st string. And I'm just bending. This is an E flat, so I'm bending on the 13th fret of the 3rd string. And I'm keeping my 1st finger anchored on the 13th, 11th fret of the 1st and 2nd string. And I'm picking the bending, 2nd string, 1st string. Just like that. And there's another wild and crazy lick. Sounds best when you got a little distortion on there, like I do here, and you play it really loud. Another cool Jimmy Spruill idea. Don't mean to be rhyming there. Anyway, looking at my list, that is pretty much it for what I want to share with you. There's some other ideas that Jimmy Spruill had, and there's some cool things that I could show you, but those are the basics. And when you're listening to the lead playing, you know, combining the double stop with those ferocious single string lines. That's the Jimmy Spruill style, what I've borrowed a lot from. And in fact, I just recorded a tune called Bebop Gal on a new CD that's going to be coming out here pretty soon. And I do a solo on the tune that's really my tribute to Jimmy Spruill. And when that comes out, I'll put the cut on the comments section so you can hear that. In fact, I use this guitar, my cheap Mexican Telecaster, Mexican-made Telecaster, $300, but I love the sound of this thing. And I'll show you how that came out. On the tab, I'm going to have to redo the tab and make it fit the lesson, or I'll just scratch out some things and draw some arrows on there, something like that. But I hope you enjoyed these lessons. There's a lot of great stuff there. And some of it you may think, oh, I've heard that before or seen that already. But listen to the way Jimmy Spruill plays it. And it's a good example of how you can take standard ideas and make them your own, you know, by just doing something different or trying something different to make it sound different. Hope you enjoyed this. This is the latest lesson in my Classic Licks series. I'll come back again in March and April, and I'm not sure who we're going to do next. I've got Tiny Grimes, I've got some Charlie Christian ideas for blues guitar, I've got Lazy Lester, I've got some Pee Wee Crayton requests for some more Pee Wee Crayton type licks. Got all kinds of stuff. I'll figure out something and come back with a good lesson. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, and I will see you in a couple months.